So what is social justice? We have a definition that Stacey is going to share from a resource that we use often, Teaching for Diversity and Social Justice, Adams, Bell, and Griffin. Here they define social justice as a process and a goal. Full and equal participation for all groups in a society that's mutually shaped to meet their needs and full potential. Let's break apart some pieces of this. Justice is fairness. A process means that it takes a lot of steps to get there. A goal, meaning that's ultimately where we want to be. That's where we want to end up. Participation means that you take part and have action in a thing. Society, being people who are living together in a community, maybe not perfectly, but they're together in a community. When we say mutually shaped, it means that we're deciding together what is best for all of us. And that piece about the needs and full potential means that we do it to the point of thriving and blooming. As we get to the last part of our time together, we'll talk a bit more about what that thriving and really getting beyond basic needs means. So take this definition and make it specific to race, where ethnicity is usually what you see on an application where it asks, are you Hispanic or Latino or non-Hispanic and Latino? Race is everything else, Black, white, Asian, Native American, etc. Here's what all this means, especially when it comes to racial justice. We want to make the world, but we'll focus on the states for now, a place free from the harm caused by white supremacy. And we'll talk a bit more about that. We want people who are not white to not have their quality of life decided by the color of their skin. We want access to quality food, education, housing, jobs, and healthcare. I'll be speaking on these things as we go along, but for now, let's talk about the goals of racial justice education. And this can be something that you can hold us up against. Hopefully at the end of this, you can say that we did all these things. We want to raise personal awareness, just meaning that you know a bit more about it yourself, expand knowledge as it concerns racial justice, and then encourage you and push you to action, not just thinking and learning, but to actual doing. Sean, let's talk a bit about personal identity.
Great. I'm so excited. So yeah, thanks, Vanikia. To understand racial identity a bit more, we will need to talk about identities in general. So identities can fall into different social groups, and a social group is defined here as a group of people who share a range of physical and or cultural characteristics based on socially constructed categories. If you click through Stacey, you'll see a list of what is termed the Big Eight social groups. They are race, ethnicity, which Vanikia told us a little bit about just now, sex assigned at birth, your gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, which includes things like your job, your education level, your income, and how much wealth you have, and where you live, ability, religion, and to this list, we also added age. But social groups are socially constructed, meaning they're created by people. But what does this actually mean? It means that race and other social groups, like these listed here, are a human invented classification. People put other people in certain boxes: Black, white, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, gay, straight, man, woman, and on and on and on. These boxes were created to define physical differences between people, not necessarily biological. And more often, these boxes have been used as a tool to make oppression and violence towards some groups okay. Now, I don't want to get too in the weeds here about social constructs, so I'll go ahead and be sure to add some more resources on that webpage for y'all if you're interested in some further learning. But I want to talk about the activity that we had asked y'all to do. To best know where to start this conversation, we have to know where we show up in the conversation. We show up through the lens of our own identities.